and welcome to Titanic Legacy, a podcast that explores Titanic's lasting impact through conversations with creative, interesting, and inspirational people. Authors, artists, historians, actors, filmmakers, musicians, entrepreneurs, and more who continue to keep the Ship of Dreams legacy not only alive, but thriving through their creative work, hobbies, storytelling, and conversations. I'm your host, Paul Carganilla, and today we have the pleasure of getting to know a maritime artist, historian, the Deputy Vice President of the RMS Olympic Steinway Association, Christopher Andrew Mulholland, the founder and president of Full Steam Ahead, has devoted over 2 decades of studying ocean liners, focusing primarily on the Olympic-Class and Lusitania-Class ships. In spring of 2023, he became the first person in over 100 years to draw the deck plans with pen and pencil. Amazing. To the best of his knowledge, at least, he's the first. And this achievement has allowed Chris to travel, present his work, undertake commissions, contribute to books, and publish magazine articles. In the fall of that year, Chris was invited to become a board member of the RMS Olympic Steinway Association, which we remember from when we had our friend Patrick Cornelius Vida on last year. We'll get caught up with that. But by spring of this year, he became Deputy Vice President of the association. I'm just meeting him for the first time. Can't wait to dig in. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to Titanic Legacy, Christopher Mulholland. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Paul. Thank you for having me here today. It's an honor.
Oh, so excited to meet you. Of course, we run in these same Titanic social media circles, and but we've never had a one-on-one, and so I look forward to this conversation. Where in the world are you joining us from?
So I live in West Virginia, about 45 minutes from the Ohio River.
Okay, very good. Well, I dug into your bio just a little bit, which people can find on your website. His website is www.fullsteamaheadmaritimeartworks.com. All one word, obviously. And you can find him on Instagram, fullsteamahead_maritime artwork. But let's dig in. Let's rewind all the way back to your Titanic origin story. When did you first fall in love with her and her story?
My goodness, my story is quite long, so please bear with me. As I just mentioned, I live about 45 minutes away from the Ohio River in West Virginia, but I didn't always live here. I am originally a Philadelphia native. So I was born and raised in Philadelphia. How I got to West Virginia is a whole different story for another time, but so I often joke with my uncle, who's our family historian, that my love for the Titanic and maritime history in general travels down the bloodline, because my great uncle, which will be his uncle, used to paint ships just as a hobby.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like my uncle always had the interest in history, but the maritime history jumped the generation and came down to me. So, as a child, I remember, always spending time with my great grandfather. We used to go up and down the Delaware River in Philadelphia. We used to take his binoculars, look out at the different, tugboats, cargo ships, you name it. They came up the Delaware River with a pair of binoculars. We would have tugboats doing water salutes. So a very fond memory of my childhood is what developed my interest in maritime history. And of course, during my childhood, I had the SS United States docked at my front door. So being 6 or 7 years old and you've got this gigantic ocean liner just sitting there, I mean, at the time, you don't understand its significance.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It sparks interest in a young mind. So I remember around the age of 8, I had seen bits and pieces of the James Cameron film. And at the time, I didn't, again, only seen bits and pieces of it. I didn't understand that this was based off of a true story.
Oh, wow.
So again, still being the age of 8, later in that year, I did actually finally watch the entire film, and when I realized it was based off a true story, I was blown away.
That's amazing.
So I
So
began
many people come to it at the age of 8. That fascinates me. So many
I've no
people I talk to.
yeah, I've noticed that a lot of, historians and enthusiasts and artists, they all say, "Oh, I started at the age of 8," so there's something about that number 8 that
Yeah, we should dig into that, figure
luck
that out. But
yeah, the lucky number is 7, but I guess in this case, it's 8.
yeah,
So,
so you finally saw it all the way through, and you realized it
yeah.
was a real historical event.
Yeah, and, at that time, I was captivated, and I was drawn in, so I began just reading everything I could get my hands on. I mean, of course, being so young, I started with basic material, and then I moved into the larger books and, you know, and eventually, of course, the archival material, but, you know, it sparked another interest in me as well. I mean, before Titanic, I had, an interest in doing arts and crafts, what have you, but one of the books I had received on Titanic was Discovering Titanic by Dr. Robert Ballard. And of course, within the book, there are paintings by the very talented Ken Marschall.
Yeah,
And again, being 8 years old, I thought they were actual pictures of the wreck. What did I know? So I realized after reading the book a couple times, no, these were indeed paintings that an artist created, and I couldn't believe it.
mm,
And I thought, I would love to be able to preserve the legacy of not just Titanic, but any ocean liner in general in an artistic way. But I wanted it to be something that nobody else had ever done to the best of my knowledge. What was I going to do? So after watching I would say by this point, I was about 9 or 10 years old after seeing the Cameron movie a handful of times at this point. The scene where Thomas Andrews unrolled the blueprint and explained to Captain Smith, this is what happened during the collision. This is the damage the ship sustained and that she's doomed. The blueprint, an interest, like a light bulb went off my head. It's like, this is really cool.
yeah,
I mean, I've seen deck plans others have recreated using AutoCAD, Illustrator, which are truly amazing. I take my hat off to those people, but I thought, what if I never seen them drawn by hand like they were back in 1912. So
right.
I'll I'll attempt it. I mean, I know I'll have a lot to learn, but I'll give it an attempt. So from the age of 9 until up about in my early to mid 20s, I just spent years just drawing sections of the ship, not fully completing an entire profile or a deck plan, just sections here and there, learn the technique. I came close a couple of times, and then of course you make one mistake that can throw the entire drawing off, then you scrap it and start over again.
Yeah,
So finally, by the spring of 2023, no, I'm sorry, spring of 2022, I thought that I had learned enough, so I thought, okay, I'll give it a try this time to actually complete an entire set. I started a month in, I got a third of the way, scrapped it because when you're drawing technical plans, especially a ship, an ocean liner from that era, we all know that these ships were built with shear. When you're trying to draw shear, and if it's difficult. You make one major mistake, or even one minor mistake, it can throw the entire drawing off. So obviously there was some frustration there because I had come so far. So I tried it again, and I finally did it. It took me 9 months. I drew the plans for Olympic and Titanic based off of the shipbuilder plans from 1911. So what my drawings actually depict is what Olympic and Titanic were originally supposed to look like. If you look at the launch photos from Olympic and the launch photos from Titanic, the only major difference between the two in those pictures is Olympic was launched in the gray color to allow her to stand out in her photographs while Titanic was launched in her White Star uniform. They had the same B deck configuration, the same A deck configuration. Everything was just as they were on the plans.
Yeah, not very many differences between Olympic and Titanic.
No, it wasn't until after Titanic was launched and Olympic went, sailed on completed her maiden voyage that they start to make changes to Titanic based off of what they learned during Olympic's maiden voyage. That's
Right.
when that's when they decide to go ahead and add the extra staterooms along the outer sides of the B deck layout. Port and starboard, they add extra first class staterooms on Titanic, so that compromised the original enclosed promenade deck. And to compromise for the loss, they closed in the forward section of A deck, so the Titanic would have a closed in promenade deck. So that's how many people actually can tell the difference between Olympic and the Titanic, is because of that closed in A deck.
You mean they weren't switched out for insurance fraud?
No,
Oh,
absolutely
the
not.
switch theory. So you mentioned you had done some artwork before, but were you specifically drawn to illustration until this point?
No, it was just like arts and crafts stuff, like what you would do around the holidays. Just those sort of things. Nothing to do with maritime.
Right. So you weren't aspiring comic book artists at that point?
No, no. It wasn't until, like I said, I saw the blueprint in Cameron's movie. That's when that's what inspired me to learn how to draw and
Well,
to draw these deck plans. I mean, Ken Marschall was my inspiration to continue the legacy of preserving these ocean liners through art, and the movie is what has inspired me to draw the deck plans.
it's amazing. And if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, head over to his website, full steam ahead, maritimeartworks.com. I'm going to show people here on, if you're watching the YouTube video, this is on his website under the store tab. There's just some of the illustrations that he has drawn by hand, pencil, pen. It's incredible. You can purchase these on the website, but and just taking a look at the plans that you have drawn, where did you get your source material for this?
Well, like I said, at the time for these drawings, a lot of it was relied on, the shipbuilder plans. I had some of the Harlan and Wolff plans, but not as much as what I have now. This was 3 years ago when I finished these drawings. Um, since then, I've acquired a lot more Harlan and Wolff material.
Wow.
So there are plans in the future to revise these drawings heavily.
Hmm. Because of new information that you have.
New information. Um, I'll just go ahead and put it out there. I'm planning to draw all three of the sisters next.
Wow.
So Olympic will have her own set, Titanic will have her own set, and Britannic will have her own set. So
That's incredible. And you mentioned, or I mentioned, because it's in your bio on the website, that these drawings have allowed you to travel and present. What has that been like?
well, I will tell you this: when I finished those drawings back in 2023, I did not expect that it would um, draw as much attention as they have. Um, I the very first time I put them out there publicly was um, it's been a while now. I think it was either the March or the April edition of the Titanic Book Club newsletter. It was one of those two editions. Um, and I gained some attention from them. I got a lot of positive feedback. Um, and then of course I went and posted them in other Titanic groups throughout Facebook, and I was getting 300 to 500 likes on a post, and it was like, wow, okay, so they're becoming
And
popular.
people started inviting you over to see
Yeah,
them.
I mean, yeah, and not long after, there's a lot has happened since I finished these drawings to the present day. So please bear with me here. Um, After I finished the Olympic and Titanic plans, I went ahead and dove into the Lusitania because, as you said in my bio, that's one of my other areas of focus. So she has been a challenge. It has been 3 years, and she is still not done. Um, I was fortunate enough to find many of her original blueprints um, in archival material, which has been a great help. But she is a classic case of what I mentioned earlier about if you get one thing wrong,
Hmm.
you're stuck, and you might as well just start over again. And it has to do with the way they were designed, and that, and you know, one of my friends I'm assisting with the research at the moment, we were talking about the Lusitania's design, and we both said there's not a straight line on that ship, and there isn't. So if you get one measurement, one curvature wrong, it's
How do you
game
do
over.
these measurements and curvatures when you're drawing?
Very carefully. I mean, obviously, you have to take it, you have to decide what scale you're going to use. I typically go with 1/200 scale because to me, the drawings aren't so small, but they're not so large. It's a perfect medium, so you can actually write on the deck plans, and you can actually and it's legible. With me, that's a major problem. If you're somebody who's close to me, you know my handwriting's not the greatest, but I try. Um, Lusitania has been on hold, and I'm looking to resume um, work on her in the new year in 2026. There were several reasons behind that, so let's dive into that a little bit.
Okay.
So after I'd finished the Olympic-class ships, like I said, I went ahead and started on Lusitania, and I worked on her for about I'll say about six, no, about 7 months.
Okay.
About 7 months I had worked on her, and I had gotten her profile drawing just about 70% done. And so I had gone down to the Titanic attraction in October of 23. I met J. Kent Layton for the first time in person. That was an awesome experience. Little did I know at that time that I'd be working on a project with him, um, because in late November, early December of that year, we formed the RMS Olympic Steinway Association, and Kent was brought on as a board member, as was I. If you ask Patrick, he likes to say that I chased him down, and that's how I got on the board. But I'm a go getter.
Yeah. Well, you got to be.
Yeah. So yeah, I joined the RMS Olympic Steinway Association that year. Um,
And for anyone who hasn't heard our episode that we had Patrick on, can you just give us a breakdown of what that association is, what it's doing?
yeah. So I would encourage all of you to visit our website at www.rmsolympicpiano.com for a formal breakdown of everything we are doing. But just to give you a kind of a quick um, overview,
Hmm.
our goal is to purchase and preserve and put on display the Steinway piano that was in Olympics a la carte restaurant post Titanic sinking. It is currently on display right now in Rosenheim, Germany, at the Titanic exhibit at the Lokschuppen. So far to date, we have raised 65,000 out of the 120,000 that we need to purchase the piano. So that's just a basic, very basic overview.
And okay, when we talked to Patrick, it was in storage somewhere. So now it's being displayed somewhere.
It's well, it was in storage. Then Best Pros Piano in the UK are the current owners of the piano. Okay.
Okay.
They loaned it to Rosenheim until the end of the year. We have made that $45,000 down payment on it, and we are at 65 right now. So
A little over the halfway mark.
yes. So at the end of the year, if we if if we don't finish the purchase by the end of the year, it'll go back to Best Roads until we finish raising the money needed. So
Gotcha. And people can donate at that website. We'll put a link in the description of the video, rmsolympic.piano.com. And you kind of mentioned it, but so it was on the Olympic, but it was built alongside the piano that was on the Titanic, right? They were built from the same wood and at the same time.
well, they weren't at the same time because the original piano, to what we believe happened was, okay, so Olympic was put into service before Titanic. She had a piano in her a la carte restaurant at that time, a
Right.
different serial number, which we confirmed that, two different serial numbers. And the a la carte restaurant had become so popular on Olympic that, they were running out of room to put at the place people. They were adding extra tables, and it got to the point where they were jammed in there so much that you could be sitting next to the piano and shouting at the person at your table because they couldn't hear over the piano. So the piano was taken off Olympic and put into storage. We believe it was placed on Titanic because Titanic's a la carte restaurant was extended because of the popularity of the restaurant on board Olympic. They extended Titanic's restaurant to the port side, and on the starboard side, they added the Cafe Parisien. So there was plenty of room to add the piano. The only issue is where exactly was the piano situated? We're unsure at this point. We believe it was in the reception room that they added to Titanic for the restaurant, but we can't confirm just yet where on Titanic it was located. But after Titanic sank, they ordered another piano for Olympics a la carte restaurant, which they extended during the 1912-1913 refit with a different serial number. So with everything I just stated, that's why we believe the original piano went down with Titanic, because why would you order another piano when you would have the original in storage? The only conclusion we can come up with at this point is it was placed on Titanic, it was lost, and he went ahead and ordered another piano once they extended Olympics a la carte restaurant.
So fascinating. So
It is.
fascinating. And yeah, again, check out all the information on the website there. Jay Kent did a great job putting that
Yes.
website together. And so you've been working on that while you're like touring the world with these drawings?
So, yeah. So after I joined the RMS Olympic Steinway Association, I continued doing my work with them, and then, of course, still working on Lusitania. And then I finally, in the late spring of that year, which was 2024 at this point, I received my first major commission, which I'm going to be wrapping up here in the next couple of months, which was the Cap Arcona. That's also in the bio on the website. And of course, while juggling that, I began writing articles for the German Titanic Assembly magazine. And before I knew it, Patrick and I were talking about, why don't I come over to Austria, visit him, which I did, and we would travel to Rosenheim so that I could see the piano in person, which I did. And then I would present my work to the German Titanic Assembly, and I did that in May of this year, actually. So it
And according to your website, were you then off to Halifax?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like so much has happened since I finished that first set of deck plans. It's everything is all over the place. I'm trying to explain it in chronological order the best I can, but so much has happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Because one of my trips to Halifax actually happened before I went to Austria in October 2024. I was invited up to Halifax to speak to the Titanic Society of Atlantic Canada, which I did, and they were blown away by my work. Um, and then actually, Angelica Harris and we actually did a presentation together in um, for the 112th anniversary of Titanic in New York City. So I presented my work there as well. That so much is it's a lot. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm explaining these different trips I've gone on, but I have to remember, okay, this happened before that, and then even before that, this happened, and uh,
We're not grading you on
yeah,
accuracy here, but
I appreciate that. It's just everything I'm telling you is out of order because I keep forgetting. Oh yeah, this happened. Oh yeah, that happened after this. So yeah,
what has it been like for you? I talk about this often on my podcast about creativity, how when you follow your heart's fire, doors open that take you on new adventures
oh
that
my
you
goodness, uh,
how how's it felt? How's it been for you?
it's been overwhelming at times, but I I really know it's been very exciting but overwhelming at the same time. It's about the best way I can put it. I mean, flying overseas for the first time. I mean, of course, that there's a little bit of anxiety there, but once I began, I didn't want to come back. I'm
Do you ever have like pinch yourself moments where you're just like,
oh
wow,
yeah,
just
oh yeah,
my
yeah,
drawings open these doors.
yeah. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But yeah, so I went to Austria, and when I came back, I went to Halifax again for a second time. Back in June, I went up there and spoke again for the Titanic Society of Atlantic Canada. Um, I met Tom Linsky while I was up there of HFX Studios. That was a great time. Um, and then after I returned from Halifax, I went on to Newport News, Virginia at the White Star Weekend. That was definitely a pinch myself moment because I never thought in 1,000 years I would meet Audrey Dalton from the 1953 Titanic movie. I think that was the one person I met that left me completely speechless. Because
Yeah.
usually what I try to do is, especially like with the actors and from the movie and the historians I've met that I never thought I would meet, I treat them like regular people. But just something with Audrey, that was just I guess it was because she's one of the last remaining Hollywood actresses from the golden era,
Yeah.
still with us, and it just
She and
she was one of my grandmother's favorite actresses, and she's no longer with us. And I think that meeting her kind of brought that connection, and that's why I kind of felt overwhelmed at first. If that
yeah.
makes any sense,
It's wild how she and Robert Wagner are still around. They're still
it is. Yeah, and I don't remember the actor's name that played Norman, but he's still with us too.
hmm. It feels like a lifetime ago. It's so interesting and a lot of history is that way. It's just like you grow up and it's in black and white on the screen or it's in a book, but you realize it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't, and it's like as it's like what I told Audrey when I was talking to her. I'm only I'm only 29 years old, but I grew up watching her movies with my grandmother. It was like I knew her. So it wasn't just me coming up to an actress and meeting her just because she was in a Titanic movie that that helped spark my interest. I mean, I watched her movies.
Well, other than finishing the Lusitania work that you're doing, what's next for you?
Well, as I said, yeah, I'm going to be wrapping up Cap Arcona, and then I'm going to return to Lusitania. Um, I am actually currently working with the curator of the Pigeon Forge in Branson attractions right now on some projects. I can't elaborate right now, but I did complete 2 drawings for him. His name is Paul Burns. We've been working together on these projects for about a year now. I completed 2 drawings for him. They'll be on display at the Pigeon Forge Museum in January. They'll be on display for 2 years.
That's awesome.
We have some other things in the works that we're planning, but I can't, like I said, I can't discuss that this time. So,
But if people want to keep up with what you're doing, they can follow you along on the Instagram. As I mentioned, it was at full steam ahead _ maritime artwork.
Whenever I travel, I try to post a picture here and there if I have time. A lot when I travel, my time is very limited. I am booked from start to finish. Austria was a prime example of that, and so are the trips to Halifax, because when I go to Halifax, I drive up there. I don't fly. So it's a nice 23-hour drive. I get to visit family along the way. So
you gotta be a fan of driving to make a drive like that.
oh, my dad comes along and he helps me too. So
that's good.
But it's like I tell everybody, driving from here to Halifax. I mean, you're experiencing a lot of scenery you're not going to see from the air. I mean, until you do that drive through New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, you won't understand what I'm telling you. I mean, it's a whole different experience.
What has before we run out of time here, and I want to respect your time, what has been your number one takeaway of your journey with Titanic that started with your drawings and has brought you where you are now and is just projecting you further into the future, and looking back on this Titanic inspired journey of yours, what is the number one thing that stands out to you?
Oh man, that's
or 1, 2, and 3. I don't mean to put you on the spot. Top 10.
Are you asking me more or less like my experience? Can you elaborate a little bit more on what you would like to know?
Or just about the history, learning about the ship, or what's the number one takeaway you think?
My number one takeaway, and I try to explain this to many people, is the connection I've formed with the ship since I began studying 8 years ago. I've always felt a connection because I've just been so captivated by her story. But I think what brought me closer to her is drawing the deck plans in a weird way, because I feel like I got to know Olympic and Titanic on a closer level, if that makes any sense.
Sure, absolutely.
If I go down to either of the attractions, it's almost like I step foot on the grounds and I'm taken back to 1912 immediately. It's not a full model of the ship, but to me, it's as close to the original as you're going to get. And as many times as I've been to these attractions, I immediately feel a very strong connection to that ship. And I often joke with other people that if I try to head towards another project, be it if I try to go back to Lusitania, or I try to go back to, or go to Mauritania or something of that nature, I feel like I'm being pulled back to Titanic, like I'm not allowed to go anywhere else. It's Titanic and that's it.
You have an intimate knowledge of her, and she feels like a living, breathing character.
To me, she does. I mean, I don't want to say she feels like a human person, because that's not what it is. It just, no. I feel like she has a spirit to her.
Sure. Yeah. And it's a spirit that continues to inspire people to keep creating and keep carrying her legacy on, as you are. And thank you for spending the time with us here today. Thank you to everybody out there who's listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out his website, fullsteamahead maritimeartworks.com. And of course, the RMS piano. What is the link for the piano?
It's RMS Olympic-Piano.com. And also be sure to check out the White Star Line Quintet.com also. Patrick has formed a quintet, and we have been recording a lot of music from the White Star Line songbook that was played during Titanic's era, and it is truly breathtaking.
Absolutely. Check that out. We'll put the links to all of these in the descriptions of the video. I want to say thank you one more time to Christopher Mulholland for joining us.
Thank you, Paul, for having me.
And until the next episode, everybody out there, seize the day, follow your heart's fire, and make each day count. Thanks again, everybody.